introduce my co-host here, Adelle Martin. And I mean, you got it wrong as well. I mean, you're here to sort this out, okay?
I know. We got there, we swapped, and we were there. So we waited for the news to finish, and then when we heard our voices, we swapped it over. So we're getting there. Show number 2. We'll be all right next week.
This is what you're supposed to be doing. We've been swapping and poking buttons around. Honestly, fancy letting us all loose in the studio. But listen, I think we ought to calm down. Actually, just get on with the show and stop worrying about the knobs and buttons. Slight problem is I have, of course, now sent an alert over to the studio technical people saying, actually, it's not working. Well, actually, it's me not working, isn't it? But never mind. So, welcome to the Women in Business Radio Show. I'm Sian Murphy. My co-host is, introduce yourself, Adelle.
So, I'm Adelle Martin, and I'm the Executive Midlife Coach.
Also, who have we? I'm still stuck with me. Who have we got in the studio today? We have Lucy Hall, founder of Digital Women, and I'm just going to ask Lucy. Lucy does so much. I'm going to ask Lucy, because I can't be trusted, obviously. I'm going to ask Lucy to tell us what she does.
Thank you, Sian, and thank you for having me.
Welcome back, Lucy. Lucy's been a regular on the show before we went into lockdown, so it's lovely to have you back in the Women in Business Radio Show studio. Welcome.
Thank you.
So, what do you do?
Oh, okay. So, so I'm a founder of a media and marketing company called Aviso Media, and as part of that, we have events and communities, and one of those communities that we've built is Digital Women.
So, and how many members has Digital Women got?
So we have around 30,000 women in our community at the moment, and we also have a membership, kind of like a paid membership community with around 700 members in there as well. So it's growing very quickly, and we're very excited. I'm very excited about it.
So, now that we've introduced Lucy properly and we know what Lucy does, because every time I see Lucy, she's doing something different. It's sort of grown, it's evolved into new stuff, new things happening. What is going on with the headphone people?
Should I tell you what's going on with the headphones? Like, I normally don't wear them on my head, and I can hear my voice when I'm talking inside it, and it's weird.
Where do you normally wear headphones then?
Oh, I mean, this is the first time I've been here for ages, isn't it? Like, so I'm not used to it anymore.
Right, okay. Everybody's fidgeting. Let's all sit still. Okay. So, today we're talking about communities. We're talking about why you might build a community. Perhaps you're building it as a force for good. Perhaps you're building it as a force for your business. How do you build a community, and what are some of the challenges around doing that? Let me also put the other people in the studio into a little bit of context around community. So Lucy already has a massive community of digital women. Adelle has a growing community. You're in the process of consolidating and redeveloping the platform as well, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
I have a community of people who exhibit with me and come on the radio show, all of this sort of thing, but they're not actually formed together into a community, and I'm in the process of doing that on my own platform. So we've sort of got it at the 3 stages. Do you think I actually planned that?
Yeah.
I sort of like to say I did. Actually, it just dawned on me on the way down here. So we are talking about communities, and we're going to be and also how to make them pay. You know, how do you make a community pay? You know, we all need to put food on the table. So how can you basically get your business community, whatever community it is that you're building, to actually help you with your income? So, first of all, what we're going to do, though, is, because I'm not doing very well today, clearly the words are not with me. So we're going to ask a few questions here. We're going to come to some of the regular, these are going to be new regular features that we're introducing into the show. And it's all about what we've learned and what tools we're using, really what we've learned, discovered, what works, what doesn't work as women in business, that we hope we can pass on to you. So, we're going to start off with what have we learnt this week? Adelle, you're first.
So for me, a bit of an unusual learn, but I was able to pull off on Tuesday getting 8 women from my community, menopausal, in a photo shoot for 8 hours with 8 changes of clothes. But I think my lessons learned was, as always, add extra time for planning and the brands and the photo shoot. And also when we realised that we've been in lockdown for a while and we get all of these women in one place, it turned into a bit of a raucous event, but we got everybody in the right place. So for me is when we're starting to come out and planning, even an event as small as that, which was a photo shoot, is I did not leave myself enough time. But actually, at the end of the day, I was obsessing, and I've also got to let some natural elements come into the day as well. But we did it, Sian. I've got 8 women, 8 hours, 8 changes of clothes.
Well done. Lucy, what have you learnt this week?
Well, every week I think I learn something new. And I wouldn't say this is something I've learned this week. I think this is something I've learned collectively over the last year, that just taking time out regularly and not working, just making sure that I go for a walk and making sure that I just take time away from the computer and time away from everything, just makes me so much more creative. And that's what I've learned. And it's quite a big one, but I think it's so important. And as business women, I think we're just so ambitious and we want to go for it, and we want to make sure that we're always doing well and we're not stopping, and that we have to prove ourselves. But actually, it's much better to just take a break now and again and go for a walk or do whatever makes you feel good.
Mine's a little bit like that as well, but it's got a slightly different sort of angle on it. And mine is that every now and then and I think a lot of other people are like this as well, have to recognise when things have got a little bit out of control and put the brakes on, stop and regroup. And regrouping could be as small as sorting out your handbag or your briefcase, or it could be that you actually need to stop for quite some time and plan and just rebuild everything. So for me, it's quite simple. My handbag got into a mess, and this got into a mess, and it's all sort of things that are around me going out and doing stuff. And my makeup got into a different place, and then suddenly this culminated in this morning. I've come out without putting any antiperspirant on. So what that means now is I've got to either go and get some, or I've got to go and change. We're okay in the studio because it's actually quite cool, but this is not going to be for me. I get sweaty, so I'm being quite honest here, and this is going to start to be getting quite unpleasant, and I've got meetings later on, and all of that has happened because I've been moving things around in a disorganised way, putting them in one bag, taking them in another, taking it down the gym, and I haven't actually sat down and thought about it and go, actually, I'll tell you what, why don't you just go and buy another one, put the other one in your gym bag, and then sort of sort it all out again. So that I've drawn the line today. I've got to go back, stop, rethink, and just get myself grounded, actually gather myself in and get myself grounded. The trouble is, I think, is that we can start racing, and we start race. Things start going more and more wrong, more and more disorganised, and we don't recognise it. And instead of stopping, we carry on. And it may sound quite silly, all right, so she forgot to put antiperspirant on. But, that's something you do automatically. It's a bit like cleaning your teeth in the morning. You get up and you just do it. You don't really have to think about it. The fact is, it didn't happen. And if that's not happening, what else isn't happening? So it's stop, recognise that it's actually, okay, this isn't going quite well. Sit back down. What do I need to get planned again?
Absolutely. And it's like you guys said, I've felt I'd been focused on that one event on Tuesday, and then some things have gone out of place, and I then looked at the schedule, and I've made a decision to come off grid, but actually take big chunks out of my diary so I can sit, like Lucy said, to be creative. Otherwise, I'm never going to get to that point where I've set out to what I would do, and something have a give, and that's just diary creep. So I'm using those 5 weeks of August just to take some time back to basics.
And I think if you have got to the point where everything's started to get almost out of control, is to get yourself out of the environment as well. So my disorganisation actually started when my events reopened. I was not as slick as I thought I was getting out that door with everything I need to run that event. And the house looked like there'd been an explosion in the middle of it, where I was just running backwards and forwards. And it was from then that it actually got worse and worse and worse. That little bit of, that lot of disorganisation crept on, and has now started to have quite a big impact. So the way to deal with it is to just leave the house, which we sort of can now, can't we? We can go to a cafe now, leave the house, go out in the car, go and sit somewhere else, find somewhere quiet to sit on your own where you're out of the mess and you're on your own with your notebook, and just start writing and reorganising. But I think get yourself out of the chaotic environment.
Yeah. I think it's really important to just notice like the warning signs of when that's happening as well, because for me it is like that when my handbag starts getting really messy and my car starts getting messy and like my wardrobe, all of the clothes in my wardrobe are not hung up in the wardrobe, they're just on the floor, then I know I'm spiralling and I need to get back to this and I need to sort everything out and just start again. It's like a reset, isn't it? Just resetting everything and just feeling like, yes, everything's organised, let's go.
I love that idea. Actually, is that perhaps what we need to do is write down that trigger or the recognition thing and just stick it somewhere, put it on the bathroom mirror or something. Are my clothes on the floor? Because that's exactly it's exactly the same in our dressing room. It's just piled up. They're not hung up. They're all over the place. Shoes are everywhere. And when that first pair of knickers drops onto the floor instead of getting itself into the wash basket, is that it? Do you put that on the bathroom window, put it somewhere, put it in your journal where you see it and go, is this happening? Whoa, hang on a minute. Let's stop. Let's regroup. Let's get hold of this before it actually starts getting too far.
I agree, because it kind of bothers you every day as well when you see that stuff piled up and that thing not in place. And then when it's all done and everything's sorted again, you just think, oh my gosh, I can deal with this now. I feel more relaxed. I can get on with my life when everything's fresh and organised and clean,
And I have Reset Saturday. So, and that started from being a long time ago, 23 years ago, my daughter is now, being a working mum, and there wasn't breakfast clubs or bits and pieces. So literally we'd have to go out the door, in the door, etc. But on a Saturday morning, I would get up with the washing basket, and it's called Reset Saturday, and I'd go from every room and put in the basket what was not supposed to be in that room, and then I'd go to the back of the house, then walk back through and put it where it should be. And that was a Reset Saturday, because I was doing what I call boom and bust. I generally got there 80% of the time, and then but if I missed that Reset Saturday, oh my God, by the time I got to the next Saturday, you're right, I can tell by what's on the floor or what's not in its place.
And sometimes we need to be honest about this, don't we? I think, sometimes we see celebrities or we see people in the media and they've got these lovely closets and all of this sort of thing. I'm sure it's not like that all the time. I'm fairly certain that Mariah Carey at some point just throws her stuff out onto the floor. She may have somebody to come and pick it up.
Someone just picked it up for her straight after she's thrown it on the floor.
I'm sure she has something else which is her trigger. And I think I love that term spiralling, because that's how it happens, isn't it? It's little things, and then you don't recognise it, you don't get a grip of it, and then suddenly it's like going down a helter-skelter, isn't it? And it's almost it's sort of out of control, and you have to hit the bottom without the nice little rubber mat to actually force yourself to get a grip and sort it all out. So I think, yes, trigger point. At what point is this starting to go wrong? That's what we're going to do. Right. Got that sorted. How about, what are some useful tools that you have been using this week or have found this week? Who's going to go first? I think I know you've got one, Adele.
I have. So I am pulling together the final stages of a planner. And it's really interesting. As good as, I'm going to name the software, Canva is, it's not until you print it that you look at it. And then actually, because I am very curious, I looked at the drop-down menu on Canva and it said download to, and it is to simple booklet. And I did. And yet again, I got a free trial version, and I got the planner in and the document, and I was able to swipe. And it just gave me a really different view. And I thought, why didn't I know about that?
Can I just clarify what that's for? Because I think I know what it's for. That's for when you are creating a planner that you are going to sell give away whatever as part of your business. So it's it's a planner for you to market.
Absolutely,
Right, okay.
or a workbook, or
Yeah,
a doc.
okay.
Yeah, so any document that you want to use for your online business. So, and it was presented in simple booklet, and it was really easy to use.
So does Simple Booklet stand on its own,
Yes,
or does it?
It does. It stands on its own, and it's got a feed directly into Canva. So when you download your workbook, because I do a lot of training, so when I download my workbook from Canva, I clicked on the menu and I thought, what does Simple Booklet
So
mean?
what does Simple Booklet do for you?
So it literally turns it into a book, so you've got it side by side, and you're able to sweep it, and it makes the noise. So you can actually sweep.
Okay.
So it's actually like a PDF booklet, and it actually sweeps, and people can even annotate on it.
So can you edit? So
yes,
can you? So do you have to start off in Canva creating your designs and your pictures, that sort of thing?
Yep, you can go into it now. Now I know I've got it. So there's 2 routes in. I can start the design in Canva and then download it and finish it there, or start directly in Simple Booklet. So
And you can create. You can create the design. You can edit. You can
absolutely.
put. Okay. All
And
right.
it gives you, and it's
Well,
a different.
that's very useful for me. Thank you very much.
And it's brilliant for workbooks, and also it has its own like URL, and it's even bringing out a version next week. You can have it,
When you say it's got its own URL, you mean that you could print your planner. You could print your planner and give it away as a printed document.
Yes.
Or you can have it online where people can go and read it, or can they interact with it?
They can. It's fixed, but they can pay for it and download it as well.
Okay, so you could so the online bit, you send somebody a link, a URL, they can open it up.
Yes.
They can have a look at what the planner looks like. They could perhaps get some ideas from that for absolutely nothing. But if they want to download it to use it themselves, to fill it in either on something like GoodNotes or They're Remarkable, maybe.
Yep.
Most wonderful gadget in the whole world. If you're an introvert, you need one of these to use it on or GoodNotes, or print it out and create their own planner.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you very much. And Lucy, I think this is something you know quite a lot about, is creating planners, because you have some wonderful planners, don't you?
Yes, I do. Thank you.
So Lucy creates social media planners, and you were sort of nodding along. Is this a tool that you're aware of?
No, I've never heard of it before, so I just thought it sounded
Yeah.
really interesting and quite good. It sounds like it's quite easy to use and everything.
Yeah, I just in case you're wondering, I run this radio show. The whole the point for me of running this radio show is not to broadcast. I bring in these really knowledgeable women in business, and I just divulge, just share everything they know. I just say thank you very much. I write notes and go away. Lucy, have you got a useful tool that you have used this week, or that you know about?
So a couple of tools. Because we have an agency, we're really into social media management and stuff. Just yesterday, I was doing some training on a tool called Agora Pulse, which is absolutely fantastic. It's like a social media management tool, but it's also a community management tool as well. So I think this fits in really nicely with what we're doing now. So if you run lots of different social networks and stuff, you can actually manage the community, listen out for special keywords and that kind of thing, and you can like posts and comment on things all from this platform, as well as share and schedule out all of your content, and it's really, really good. I just love it, and I just realised how much more I loved it when I was doing training on the platform yesterday. There's lots of different kind of, payment plans available for it, so I think there's a free one for small businesses, and then it goes up depending on what you need. But I do have a free trial for it, actually. I do have a link where you can get a free trial if anyone wants it. I don't know if...
Yeah, no, that would be good. I'm guessing it's not the sort of thing that you could actually... It's not practical to read it out, so perhaps...
It's just agorapulse.com/Lucy Hall.
Oh, okay.
So it's not...
There we go.
It's not that bad. So you can get 2 months free, but it's well worth giving it a try. And it's just because it's just so good to help you manage all of your social media. You can just schedule posts into a calendar. And if you do it for clients as well, you can send your clients a link to their own calendar, and then they can just kind of approve posts there and then, and see it all in this amazing calendar, everything that's happening and that's going out in the future. So I just love it.
Okay, thank you. That's Agora Pulse. my tool this week, in fact, I'm going to be working on this afternoon, is actually something for email signatures. And there are two tools that I have found to sort out email signatures, basically to create email signatures that look nice. I had a look at mine the other day, and they're an absolute disgrace. And I saw somebody's email signature popped into my inbox this morning, and I thought, do you know, that looks really nice. That looks real. I've got to do that. So I found two tools. Now, one of them is available to everybody for free, and it's HubSpot signatures. So you can create a really quite nice looking signature with all your logos, all of this sort of thing, all of your social media stuff. It looks really pretty. It's easy to use. But I had trouble getting it into Apple Mail, which is what I use. But just go and have a look at it, HubSpot signatures, give you a really good idea of what's achievable. So then I started hunting around, because I do use Apple Mail, and I also use something called Mail Butler, which links into Apple Mail. That's a paid tool. And I realised, and I think the lesson here, and perhaps this comes into what have I learnt today this week, is actually look at what you've already got. So if you've already got tools and you're using tools, before you go hunting off down the rabbit hole, the next shiny thing, trying to find something to do something for you, actually have a look at what you've already got and what you're already buying into. Because when I had a look at Mail Butler, and I actually looked specifically to create a signature, I realised that they actually have this really cool inbuilt signature creation tool, which would just plonk it straight in there. I didn't need to do any copying and pasting as I did taking it from HubSpot. And it looks really, really good. So I'm going to have a fun sort of evening actually tidying up all of my email signatures. So HubSpot signatures, it's free. You can go and create whatever you want, and it looks good.
Giving that a try, it sounds really good.
Yeah, no, I thought, when I saw this guy's signature, I thought, do you know, mine should look like that. Why does mine not look like that?
I thought it's just me. I always look at people's email signatures like, oh, I like that bit, and I borrow that bit. Love it.
Well, this actually builds it for you.
Does it?
Yeah, so you can have it delineated, you know, you can have like a header and all of this sort of thing with colour, and you can put your picture and a logo and different bits and bits. It just looks really nice. And it's all clickable as well. So it's all, what's it called? You know, like touch to call, you know, tap to call.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it all works, which is the other thing. Okay, I think we're going to go on to what books have we been reading. So it doesn't matter if this can be a fiction book, a non-fiction book, it doesn't really matter. What have you been reading, Adele? Anything?
Yes, I have.
Anything at all?
I have actually, yes. I realised after our conversation last week, Adele needs to stop when she's reading. Let's put the business books down. So I've actually picked up Is There Sex in the City After 50, which sort of leads to my target market. And do you know what, Sian? It was just nice to start to go back to reading fiction book, and thank you for sort of reminding me that there is more to that. And do you know what? I've really loved it, and I've really giggled, and it's really great fun. And there is a sort of a semi-link to the type of people I work with, but it's been such great fun. And do you know what? I realised how much I have missed my fiction books.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? I would speak to so many people, and you know, what was it that you used to do when you were younger that you really used to enjoy? And it was reading. And the number of people who are in business, especially women in business, who've actually stopped reading anything apart from something that's supposedly going to make them better than they are already. And I've sort of reached the conclusion, actually, you know, we're probably all okay. We're all right. Let's go and read an Agatha Christie, or read, you know, a crappy magazine. Watch some, you know, watch something crappy on TV, and actually just stop.
Exactly.
Trying to improve ourselves. We are good enough.
And I was looking back to, like you said, and growing up with Sex in the City, and then I just Googled it, and then there's a different, you know, I'd missed that, the fact that it was them, you know, some stories over 50. So I grabbed it, and it was brilliant. So, yeah, I was laughing, and I, like you said, I forgot what it was like to read fiction.
I have actually got I have got a book that I've sort of started and not carried on with, but I did enjoy it, and I'm going to get back to it. I had a lot of stuff sort of crop up in the meantime, and it's called Money, a Love Story. And it's just about some of the issues and things, I suppose, that some of us have around money. And I think a lot of people have stuff around money because it doesn't exist, does it? It's not real. It's a construct. And I think we associate things with it. I'm not going to go into all of that. It's all really, really obvious. But that is... It certainly started off quite nicely. Money, a Love Story. It had a little quiz at the start, which was a bit scary. So I sort of got to the end of it and realised, like, ooh, I've got a lot of stuff. might need to actually stop reading so much fiction and go back to some of the self-help books. Lucy, what have you been reading?
Well, I actually find it really difficult these days to pick up a book and read the whole thing, just because kids and work and everything else. So I've been listening to audiobooks, which is the same thing really, but I listen in the car and that kind of thing. And just following on from the one that you just read, I've been listening to some of these like kind of female entrepreneurship books and that kind of thing, which I didn't do before. And there's one called Get Rich Lucky Bitch. It's by Denise Duffield Thomas, and it's really, really good. Her voice is amazing in the audiobook. So if you like audiobooks, she's Australian, she just sounds great, and she's so easy to listen to, and she's so funny. But she talks about these money blocks that people have and that kind of thing. And it's not woo-woo like, oh, we're manifesting money and that kind of thing. It's actually really practical. She's like, if you don't set goals for things that you want, then it's going to be really hard to achieve them. And if you don't change your mindset around money and you don't think you deserve the money, then you're not going to get the money, and you're not going to get where you want to. And also looking back on, how far you've come already, and just being grateful for what you've already done and what you've already received is really important. And it sounds really simple, and it is when you listen to it, and it just makes such a difference, I think, to the way you think about money and what that is. And I just loved it. And then the next one following on from that is Chillpreneur, or it might have been the one before that, but now I'm obsessed with her because she's just really cool.
I think Chillpreneur came first. Yeah. I've read Get Rich Lucky Bitch. It's good, isn't it? And it is really good. I think my only comment on all of these is I'm really good at listening to them, but they have stuff, there's exercises and things that you need to do. Yeah. And I've got them as audiobooks, and I find, I listen to them wherever, but then I'm not in a situation where I can actually sit down and do the stuff. Right. And I've found that I'm better off if, rather than listening to it once and then trying to pick up on it later, where I sit down and listen to it again and perhaps do the stuff, is actually not listen to them when I can't do stuff, and sit down and actually go through it and do the whole thing as a chapter and do the exercise at the same time. Otherwise, I don't do the exercise. Yeah. I discovered something really, and people are going to go, you didn't know that. I knew that this existed, and it's the link between Kindle and audiobooks. So when you buy a Kindle book and you get audio sync as well, when you read the Kindle book and then you go and listen to it in audio, it syncs. So you're in exactly the same place. And I think that is a perfect way to actually combine those two things. I was amazed. How can I have got to this age with Kindle and audiobooks being Audible being around for so long, and I didn't realise they actually did this?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I've even sometimes bought the real book, the hardback book, and got the audio in the Kindle, depending on where I am. But I didn't realise till recently that they synced, and then I'd obviously find the page number in the hard book.
Yeah, so you can sit there and you can read it on Kindle, and it's in the same place on audio. Or if you're listening to it on audio and there's suddenly, there's an exercise I want to do, you can put the Kindle on and there it is. And you can just see the exercise and sit down and do it. So that is really, really cool if you're using it for learning, I think. Right then, okay. I think we've probably got to the point where it's time to introduce Lucy properly and start talking about communities. So Lucy, welcome properly to the show. Welcome back to the show. Tell us a little bit about the community that you've developed. So a little bit about your story and how you got to where you are now, and the sorts of women that you have in your digital women community.
Okay, sure. So at the beginning of 2019, I decided, I think, that we need to do an event for women to help to give them the digital skills they need, but not just not digital like people talking at you in the room kind of thing, but bringing people from like who've already got digital skills to come and talk about the kind of skills that they have. So almost like skill sharing. So we did an event at the same time, set up a Facebook group as well to bring people who want to learn digital skills, but also people who have digital skills already who want to upskill into this community. And I think this started in just February 2019. And then by the event in March, we had 1,000 people in our community, which doesn't sound like a lot, but actually that's 1,000 people, so it is quite a lot of people. We had 300 people at the first event, which is obviously really exciting, an in-person event. I can't wait for those again. And it was just amazing. And you came to that event, Sian, and I don't know if you remember, but I was throwing up because I
do remember.
People were like, "You're nervous." I'm like, "I'm not nervous. I think I've got something." I had to get driven home because I ended up having like gastroenteritis or whatever, so it was not very nice. But anyway, it was an amazing event, and from there it was like, we really do have something here, and we do really have this amazing community, start of a community of people who just really want to get the skills that they need or to learn the new skills, because digital is moving really, really quickly, and there's people with these amazing skills, but they still have areas that they're missing. Still, they have things to learn, and there's always something new to learn, whether that be, your social media stuff or AI and blockchain and cryptocurrencies and, all of these things that sound quite scary now, but are going to be very much part of our now and our future, and part of the skills you need when you're going to get a job, or the skills that you need when you're running a business that you're going to have to gain. And we know the digital skills gap is absolutely ridiculous at the moment. So being able to help employers and, people who run their own businesses and people who are trying to get jobs and that kind of thing to be able to get the digital skills they need is really, really important. So I decided this community needs a mission. We need a mission that's going to bind us all together. When building the community, I didn't think this is something that needs to be monetized. I thought, do you know what? This is something that we can do where we can all help each other. We can all pitch in, we can help each other. And that's what makes the difference between a community and building an audience. An audience is where you have people who are following you, they want to know about you, and they're like buying all your stuff and that kind of thing, which is great when you're running a business. If you can get an audience to follow you, you're smashing it. But this is not that. This isn't a community of people who are getting together around a similar cause. We're going to empower 1 million women through digital skills by 2024. Okay, so we're going to bring 1 million women together to learn digital skills, and we're doing that through lots of different training, events, skill sessions. We've got our awards and everything else as well. And over the pandemic, our community grew quite big. So our Facebook community grew to, it's almost 8,000 now in that Facebook community. We have 16,500 in our LinkedIn community, and then we obviously have got Instagram and our email database and that kind of thing. We've reached over 500,000 people in the first kind of quarter of the year. So it's growing. People need the skills and that kind of thing. But like I'm saying, the difference is with building a community and having an audience is that everybody's coming together around the cause, not around me, my business, that kind of thing, but around digital women, and everybody's part of that, and everybody's part of each other's growth and support for each other, which is what makes it so exciting. And obviously there's lots more things I can talk about within that, but I'll just leave it over to you to see if you want to ask anything else about that.
So that is a really, really interesting sort of delineation between the community and the audience, because I think people get those two things confused.
Yeah.
And I don't think anyone is better than the other. There's nothing. It's fantastic to have an audience. That doesn't mean you're not helping people because you have an audience and not a community. It's just about understanding what one it is.
Exactly, and it can feel like it's the same thing, one and the same thing, when it feels like you're just trying to get these people following you or joining a group and that kind of thing. But the thing that you have to understand, the difference is that when you think about a community, it's an inclusive space for people who have a similar problem or a similar issue or a similar thing to drive themselves towards, which means that everybody feels like they're pulling together towards this, this thing. This, sometimes it's just a thing, or sometimes it's like, a cause. Sometimes it's, the fact that they want to learn something else, or maybe they're part of your local community. You know, there's lots of different reasons you would start a community. But communities are obviously really important. And during the pandemic, it was so important for people's mental health to be able to know they had people around them that they could talk to come to virtual events and learn and talk to each other and that kind of thing. So I think we were a really important, part of people's lives during the pandemic. And honestly, there's been some amazing friendships made. People have been able to go and meet each other now the pandemic's finished, and just through the community and that kind of thing. And so I think that's really interesting. But there is a problem as well. Like if you're a business and you are running communities, you might think, I'm spending 5 hours a day on this because I love it, because I'm enthusiastic about it. This is my thing. And what happens is you become obsessed with it, but you're not making any money from it. So this is what happened with me. I was working on all the time. I was in the community all the time. And my business partner said, look, you can't do this. We have a business and you can't pull the staff in. You can't pull people into this. It's not making any money. So at some point, you have to fund your community. And instead of saying monetize the community, I call it funding the community, because we're creating initiatives that people pay for that's actually helping to fund the work you put into the community, the training, the courses, the events, and they're getting something out of it as well. Does that make sense? So that could be through sponsorship. We created a paid membership community, so people pay a monthly fee and then they get access to all this amazing stuff. And then we do these online events and awards and that kind of thing as well, and we get sponsorship. So that's how we funded the community. And a community can be very small, can be 20 people, as you know, like local meetups are a little community of people, or there can be thousands, but you have to have that thing that ties everybody together, that keeps everybody kind of like molded around this kind of, mission. Or
so I think the mission, the mission, which is your mission, but the mission for the community as well, was the key. Did that come first, or did you did the community sort of start evolving and then you thought, hang on a minute, what is all of this about? Why are these people coming together? What am I doing here? And then your mission emerged. Yeah,
exactly. I thought about this a lot because at first I knew that I wanted to create a community that's going to help people. Because I was a lead for Facebook community leadership circles just before, and I met so many incredible people who had built these amazing communities, and it's hugely rewarding for them. And we were teaching them, we're bringing people in every week, teaching them how to fund their community so they could grow them, and and that kind of thing. Teach them how to, make sure that they're interacting with people properly and that kind of thing, and teaching them the difference between the community and the audience kind of thing. And that was really amazing. And I was so inspired. I thought, you know what, I really want to do something that helps people. So it started off as a way to help people. And then it kind of, after the event, just before the event, was like, right, we need to have a mission for this, because otherwise, what are you aiming for? Like, what are you working towards? And I think you always need a goal. You need something to work towards. And then that became a thing, basically. And then we set out some values and that kind of thing for the whole community to see. So it wasn't private. Well, these are our values, and does this resonate with you? And if so, come and join our community. And it's just been growing ever since.
And I think it's also about being open and honest, isn't it? So, one of the things that I'm going to be very upfront about saying as I build mine is exactly that. How is this community funded?
Yeah.
Because I think people want to know. I think they want to know how it's paid for.
Yeah.
Because people aren't stupid. They know that somewhere along the line somebody's working, somebody is putting, time in, and that has to be paid for.
Yeah.
So how is it actually being funded? And I think being open and transparent about that, and it could be actually you're paying a membership fee, or you're paying a whatever, or you're booking to go to events, or you're buying planners or whatever.
Yeah.
That's actually funding this. I think actually puts people at ease, and they know, they go, oh, okay, this can last. It's sustainable. I can join this community. I can join in with this community, and it's not suddenly going to be whipped out. My support network isn't suddenly going to be whipped out from underneath me because somebody can no longer afford to run it.
Yeah, and that's been a pet peeve of mine, actually, because I've seen some of these, especially marketing and digital communities and stuff like that, where they've created a Facebook community. Everybody's like, some people can't afford to pay for programs and stuff like that at the time. Remember, people who are paying to fund the community are paying for themselves to develop, but they're also paying to make sure other people are getting this resource, helping us to reach those goals. And I've seen it where, you know, the people in their community aren't buying enough of their products and that kind of thing. And so they say, we're closing this community, you have to pay us now. And then all of these people are kind of displaced. They're like, what? So now I have to pay, or I can't just like talk to my friends in this community anymore. Why not just leave that community open for them to talk? Because what it is, it's a tactic that marketers use to try and get people, but they're so short-sighted, because what they're doing is they're losing the trust of that community just to get a quick bit of money in, which is I just think it's the wrong thing to do. If you've built a community, absolutely love them and nurture them, and you know, understand that it's a long-term thing. But yeah, be really transparent with them, and that's what I did. So when we launched the membership community, I said, right, we've created this thing. It's paid. If you pay, you're going to get all of this stuff. Plus, you know, you're helping us to fund our mission of reaching 1 million women through digital and helping them with digital skills. And do you know what? People loved it that we said that. And they were like, yeah, do you know what? I'm part of this. I want to be part of it. Thank you for doing what you're doing. Some people come to some things, some people come to everything. But you can see I'm passionate about this anyway. Yeah, so I'm talking about it a lot. I'm sorry.
I get sort of quite passionate about that paying thing.
Yeah.
Because from two points of view. One, from the point of view of being a businesswoman and understanding that if something isn't paid for, it's not sustainable.
Absolutely.
That you simply can't go on with it. And the other side of it is from some of the people that I work with who come along to events, who are healers or have a particular, perhaps what a society we might call a gift. And I see the pain and confusion that's caused for some of them when they will get comments, very often on places like Facebook, saying, you shouldn't be charging for your gift. You should be giving this away. How do we eat? How do we sort of manage to get to the place where we can give our gift away? And the pain and confusion it causes for them. And that how important it actually is to recognise that we cannot do stuff for nothing. No. And that the other side of it, I think, is that people want to pay.
Yeah, they do.
People want to pay because they feel secure. That there's an exchange, isn't there? There's a fair exchange. They're getting a really good planner. They're getting some really good advice. They're getting some really good support. And I think we feel safer if there's a fair exchange for that.
Yeah.
And if it's either too expensive, too cheap or free, it's wrong. And we don't like it. And we're a bit, actually, OK, I'll have that for the time being. But what's going to happen next week or next month? Where am I going to get that support from?
Yeah.
So what you're saying is you built that in sort of up front. You thought about how am I going to keep going with this now?
Yeah, so during the pandemic, like obviously we're a company, we have staff to pay and everything like that as well. I'm putting the staff into something that's not making any money, that is just a passion of mine. Yeah. And so I'm like, how can we fund this basically? And that was the way to do it, I thought, membership. And so many people straight away, they were just so supportive. They're like, yes, 100%, love what you're doing.
Because they want it to continue.
They want it to continue, This is how we're going to be able to continue it. So they did it. And then, we managed to do 5 events like online last year. Big ones, 900 people at some of them. So, it was amazing. We did those for free because we had this community that helped us, to get the people along to it. But also we had this community actually funding the community. So people who were enjoying the community were also funding the community. And as part of that, I've developed CPD training courses and that kind of thing. So people can actually get these proper, certificates that they can take to an employer and say, I'm actually CPD certified in this, which actually means something as well. And we've included that in the membership. So all the time we're just adding more and more, because it doesn't matter. Once you have hundreds and hundreds of members paying a monthly fee, you can keep adding value. It doesn't matter if they're paying £7 a month or £25 a month or £100 a month. They're just getting lots and lots of value all the time. So
because they're sharing. They're sharing
it. And we have people from the community come and do videos for us. So we're just rebuilding the whole membership at the moment, because what we started with was, a few videos and that kind of thing. Now we have over 100 videos in there. We've got 5 training courses. We've got hundreds of resources. So we're rebuilding the whole thing to relaunch in September to make it... because what we had in the first place, I didn't know it was going to turn into this thing. I didn't realise. I thought, we'll get a couple of hundred people in, it'll be fine. And you just don't realise it's going to turn into what it turns into. So it's amazing.
And that brings me on to, I've got a couple of thoughts about this, how you manage this and moving forwards. And I've got 2 things that just sort of scribbling down here that I thought need to be dealt with. And the first is managing the technology.
Yes.
And the second is managing the engagement and the community, because the way that I've seen this happening is that you can have lots and lots of people in a group, so they're held together on the technology. So whatever that technology is, it could be a Facebook group or it could be something else. There are all sorts of things, aren't there? There's mighty networks, there's sort of the smaller, more independent, perhaps more bespoke things like Eugenie and this sort of thing. But there's the technology that holds the group together. But they're all just sat there, aren't they? They're just a lot of people in a group, and you can go and have a look at it, and you can have a Facebook group with 20 million people in it, but if they're not actually, if all they're doing is posting stuff, that's not a community, that's a posting forum. And then you need to manage the engagement.
Absolutely.
Are you agreeing with that?
It's hard.
So we would just not end that.
No, because
is that
when
right?
you start running your community, you're not doing it with in mind. I think when you start a real community, you're not thinking, right, I'm starting a community to monetize it. You're thinking, I just want to bring people together and help them, or help them to help each other. Does that make sense? Unless you already have a business and you can find a way to build a community around your business as well. But you are thinking, how can I help them? How can I solve their problems? And then I think it takes time, a serious amount of time and energy and effort to community manage all of those people and make sure when somebody does ask a question and post something that you tag someone that you know might know the answer to it. Because one of the things I found is that I know the answer to a lot of questions around digital. Don't get me wrong, I'm doing this for a long time. But I'm not going to answer every single question that comes in.
It'll just be the Lucy Hall forum,
because it'll be the Lucy Hall forum. So I'll tag someone who knows the answer and then they'll answer it. And so then you have lots of people who are, and you have in Facebook groups, for example, you now have experts that you can call experts in your group that answer questions and that you can flag up, which is really awesome. There's so many amazing tools in there. Like, just take a look at Facebook groups and just see all the stuff they've got in there. But, you have to be there in that community, spending time in it, building it, asking people how they feel, asking people, what they're doing, what are they achieving, what are they looking for. You can use it as a way to get information on what people want. You can use it to create future content. You can create a content plan for your community and that kind of thing. Don't see it as a different, anything different than, a magazine almost, because you're creating this community and you're giving them information that they can use to help them, if that makes sense. It's like a forum. But we started on Facebook, and of course our community's built out from there, and now we're building, and I started using a website called, technology-wise, I started using a website called Squarespace and Memberspace, which is fine. Like, it takes payments every month. You can hide, all you need to do is be able to hide stuff from people who are not paying. But now we need something more, because the technology now is costing so much money when you think about MailChimp, which is hundreds a month, and then you've got Memberspace, Squarespace, the referral thing, plugins, tools, all of this different stuff's coming to lots and lots of money every month. So we moved over to Kajabi, which is a platform that just has everything integrated. It's amazing, and you're looking at a couple of £100 a month. Everything's consolidated and it all works together, and it's got a community built in and everything else. So technology, you might not get it right first time, you might have to change it later, but
it evolves, isn't it? And my advice with all of this, because we are approached by people who want to build membership sites, who want to build big e-commerce sites, and the first conversation that we have with them is, where are you now? And actually they haven't solved a product, they haven't sold anything, and they don't have any members, so there's actually no proof of concept. And so to start off with the proof of concept, with the simple stuff, because you can deliver a membership program through MailChimp, can't you?
Of course you can.
All it is, you just deliver emails. It's content that certain people get.
Well, there's a tool called Review now, isn't there? Owned by Twitter, where you can create your own email newsletters with content in them that people can pay a monthly fee for. So you can build community newsletters. It doesn't just have to be.
But and also in that newsletter, you can take it beyond a newsletter. It's a lesson. It's a workshop lesson.
Absolutely.
You can deliver PDFs. You can deliver planners. You can deliver questionnaires. Constant Contact is excellent for that. There's so much that you can build into that, and you don't have to be particularly techie to use it. And that's it. That's a membership site. So start off small, get proof of concept, see how it's going to work, see how people are going to use it, see what they want to get, and then start building in the technology side of things.
Absolutely. And the other thing is that you might not even go down that route at all. in terms of building a membership community. You might say, well, actually, we don't want anyone to pay ever, but what we'll do is we'll get sponsors, and we'll, if people want access to our community, which a lot of time people do. If you've got an amazing community, it's very active, and they're listening to you, and they're listening to each other, and then someone comes along and says, do you know what, I want to reach your community. Okay, you can pay for that. We'll charge you because this is helping me to actually continue the community on. You can tell people this person is paying. We think the product's good. Make sure you don't choose a dodgy sponsor. It's got to be right for the community. They fit really, really well, and they're helping to fund the community. So there's two ways of doing it, isn't there? You can fund it through selling stuff to your community, or you can fund it through sponsorship. I
think the sponsorship it sounds like an easier route, but I'm not sure that it is, because the due diligence that you need to do before I think you let somebody into your community and perhaps go into a contract where they've paid and then they're suddenly not doing what you were expecting them to do, and they're doing things that go beyond, that go perhaps breach your community, your values and your community values. I think that's a trickier thing to do than it is actually to charge somebody.
Well, yeah, and if you have open communities on Facebook as well, don't forget you can do these paid partnerships and stuff. So if you have a closed community, you can't make it open, by the way, but if you keep your community open from when you start it, there's already a tool available within Facebook where you can your group is almost like an influencer, isn't it? Because that's what it is. You're an influential group of people who are buying stuff. So people will want to sponsor that, or they will want to partner with you. So there are paid partnership opportunities through Facebook now, for groups and stuff like that, which will help a little bit, I think, with the due diligence and that kind of thing.
I think there's so much that you've shared there about the technology. Let's go on to a little bit about the engagement, because I think that's actually a harder thing to do. I think it's quite easy. Is that the right word? To go out and learn about the technology and apply it. The engagement is something else, isn't it? Because that's intuitive. You are going to have to deal with some things that you may not want to deal with. You're going to have to perhaps deal with people who are not being nice in your community. Yeah. And you're going to have to tackle that. So what's your views and advice on dealing with engagement?
Well, I think, first of all, you said that you might have some dodgy things that you have to deal with. So I'd say the first thing you should do is set some ground rules and some boundaries for, what is acceptable within your community, and then put those rules out so everybody can see them. Yeah. Make sure they know. If you don't want people sharing spam in your community or blog posts or anything like that, some people do. If you don't want it, say you don't want it, and say if you do this, we will if you do it so many times, we will kind of like kick you out, or we'll just send you a little note to say, this is not acceptable, which you can do with Facebook. The tools are amazing, and you can also ask people questions before they start the community. Are you you can ask questions like, do you want to be part of the digital woman community, or something like that, just so that people actually have to answer. And if they don't answer the question, then you don't let them in, basically, because they might be a little bit dodgy, which is really good.
So having some really good ground rules, really good rules that you can refer back to and be fair about. So okay, sorry, you've breached that, I've warned you once, I've warned you twice, you're out. I would say the downside of that is that if you're not ready to enforce them, people are going to get cross with you, aren't they? So if you're constantly, you've got somebody who's spamming, swearing, doing whatever it is that you've said they can't do, if you don't go in and deal with that and get rid of them, your community members are going to lose heart with you, aren't they? And they're going to go.
Well, that's one of the reasons why Facebook groups are so good, and people love them so much in a lot of cases, because you do have these amazing moderation tools. So you can search for keywords. You can make sure that people have to ask before they post something in to the group. So what they do is they'll post something and you have to approve it before it goes in, or one of your admins have to approve it, and that kind of thing. It's quite hard, because I used to get a lot of messages from people saying, why didn't you approve this? And I'm like, well, because it's spam. But I know you really well, Lucy, why won't you let me do that? I'm like, because if I let you do it, I have to let everybody else do it. So I have to stick to the rules.
So it can be quite tough, because you may have to say no to some of your friends. You may have to say no to people that you know really well. So you've got to have really, put your big sturdy underwear on for this, haven't you? Don't take it, do it lightly.
But there's a really cool feature on Facebook groups where when you decline somebody's post, you can choose one of your rules to show what they have which rule that they have kind of broken. So they get the rule and say, this has been declined because this is spam, basically, and we ask you not to do that. Or this is prospecting or something like that.
We're going to have to round this up now, which is a real shame.
Oh,
because
sorry.
I think, no, because I think we could carry on talking about this for quite some time, and I think we're going to have to get you back to actually go in more depth to some of the concepts and ideas around engagement. I think the big takeaway is set rules for that.
Yeah.
Is set rules and be prepared to think about how you're going to enforce them and then stick by them so that it's fair for everybody and you keep a really good community going.
And create a content calendar. Make sure you post in your group regularly and schedule content out so it's always going out regularly. Because if you don't do that, then you're not, that's a whole nother...
Yeah,
I agree.
I think we're going to have another one of these talking about content because there is so much that we can do. Lucy, we're going to hopefully have a couple of minutes of discussion, but before we go, how do people get hold of you? How do they reach your digital women community?
Well, first of all, you can find me on Instagram because that's where I like hanging out the most, and that's lucy.shao. So please say hi to me in my stories or whatever. Digital Women Community on everything is Digital Women, but where the L is a 1. And you can find us there, or just Digital Women on Facebook, and come and join the community. It's all free and it's fun and it's awesome.
We have got a couple more minutes left, so we are going to have a very quick chat with Adelle, because Adelle, you have a little bit of a different community, don't you? Your community is actually sort of quite focused and niched, isn't it, on menopausal women?
Absolutely.
And is it fair to say, I bet it isn't, that your community is almost a cross between your audience and a community?
Absolutely. So
oh God, I was right.
It was no, because it starts off as an audience. So my community are business women, and we are all joined up to build a strong body to manage menopause, and that is our bind in what we do. But more importantly, we keep each other in business as well. So it starts, with a topic like mine. You start off with an audience, and then we bring them into the community, and it truly does become a community. But it starts off at audience first, and we are then bound up by our one overriding purpose, which is to build a strong body and a strong business.
And you are building yours not on Facebook, you're building yours on your own app, aren't you?
I am.
And we've got about 10 seconds.
Yep, and it's a cross between Kajabi and a Facebook group. It's all in one place, so I can keep my
What's
community.
the benefit of that?
It's easy for me to see what they're doing. It's a learning community, so it truly I get the benefits of Kajabi and the flexibility of a Facebook group all in one place, one platform, and like you said, cost.
And you have a free level, don't you, where people can join, but yours is very much a funded community.
It is. It's funded because it's all around research and my time. I made a promise to bring them the latest information.
People are getting very definite content about a particular thing, about keeping you fit in menopause.
Absolutely.
So it's a really tight focus, isn't it?
It is, absolutely.
We are going to have to, I'm looking at this, I can't even see the clock. I think I'm going to have to start up my own community for menopausal women who can't see straight. So we have come to the end. You will find out more about Adelle and her community, because Adelle, of course, is the co-host. For me, I don't know, I'll share about my community later another time. Lucy Hall, founder of the wonderful, massively growing and incredibly important Digital Women. Thank you so much for being on the radio show today. We will see you next week.
Thanks
back in
for
the
having
studio.
me.
Take care. Bye.
Tune in next week to the Women in Business radio show for more stories, ideas and inspiration to help you grow